What's up, Vetters? Patrick here with Vetted. Today we're talking about this.
I'm not sure that you are aware, but congressional record was fabricated on one of the times that we did a UAP hearing. It was the time that they chose a journalist named Michael Schellenberger, because that guy will sell you out faster than you can blink.
You recently took a field trip to Pax River. Can you tell us what your expectations were going in, and then can you describe the trip and what you saw?
You know, guys, I can't really, I have not publicly said that I've taken the trip to Pax River.
Do you think you will see UFOs in the other facilities that you are scheduled to go see? Yes or no? Do you think you're going to see non-human intelligence craft? Yes or no?
Some of them I won't, and some of them I might.
Do you find them to be genuine and honest, without names?
I really would, and I apologize, but I really don't want to. I'm going to decline to comment because I don't want to jeopardize any relationships that I have. There is a facility that had a purpose. It serves a great purpose today, and it's a necessary facility. I think it had a broader purpose than the UAP topic, but it would be a perfect location if you were to do reverse engineering of a UAP. It would be the perfect location to do something like that.
You've worked with David Grush, now a whistleblower that became an employee of Congress and yours. You fought for that. Is David Grush worthy of our trust publicly?
I think so.
Do you find Matthew Brown credible and honest?
I do. Yeah, I do find him credible and honest, and I think that he's an American patriot. I think that he loves his country. He wants to do the right thing. I think he's morally compelled to be involved in this topic, and so. But I also know him to be someone who protects with fervor national secrets.
Absolutely. You know that he recorded with us this last weekend, and that we are going to release what he believes to be accurate and true. And that's going to cause some waves because of what we recorded if what he's saying is accurate and true.
I came into this topic thinking that it was probably just like complete hogwash, aliens visiting us from another planet. The last revelations that I have seen is, whether it's China or it's either way, it's an ontological shock.
All right, Vetters, please hit that like button. That really helps out the videos. And of course, if you're not already subscribed, hit that subscribe button, y'all. Oh, and by the way, I'm getting my 100,000 subscriber YouTube play button this week. So I'll be doing a special unboxing video or live stream, probably more than likely. So again, stay tuned, hit subscribe if you haven't already. I'll be very excited to celebrate that with everyone. So anyway, let's get to the video. All right, so what's today's video about? Well, it's about Representative Eric Burlison from the great state of Missouri going on Weaponized with Jeremy Corbell and George Knapp and doing honestly, this was an amazing interview in the sense that I like Eric Burlison a lot. He just seems very genuine and honest about his approach with UFOs. So there were some interesting revelations and some things we learned that we didn't know before. And, let's go through it.
Representative Burlison, thanks for joining us. We don't have much time, so let's jump right to it. You recently took a field trip to Pax River. Can you tell us what your expectations were going in, and then can you describe the trip and what you saw?
Guys, I can't really, I have not publicly said that I've taken the trip to Pax River at this time. And so,
okay.
I'm being extremely cautious about where I've gone so far because, but I have gone to a facility. I've gone to a location, that is the first on a list of hopefully many locations. And what I'm trying to do is not jeopardize, make you not jeopardize for future trips. But believe me, at the end of this, I will be making it very public.
But what were your expectations going into the undisclosed location? Because, they know you're coming. If there is something there to hide, it's hidden from you, I would think, right?
Yeah, it is. And honestly, the location that we went to was more of, I had been told that there's nothing there that's current. And so that they're not going to pull a curtain and you're going to see something at this moment. But at least I was able to see facilities facilities that explain some of the stories that I've heard, right? And so able to see that, and which kind of fleshes out some of the narratives that have happened, and sat down with a particular individual that I've wanted to meet with for some time, that I could only meet at that location and in a secure setting, and so I finally was able to get that meeting put together.
So this was hilarious, right? This is the very first question they asked Representative Burlison. George Knapp comes in hot, which was kind of funny. You can tell there's a small edit right after that happened, and then they got back to talking about it. Clearly, it wasn't that big of a deal. They put it in the final episode, right? They could have edited that out, but I just found that to be hilarious right off the bat. Guys, I haven't made that public yet. So I guess cat's out of the bag, right? Eric Burlison has gone to a place called Pax River. It's in Maryland. It's got this lore behind it in the UFO community that allegedly this structure, an aircraft hangar, something was built to hold a UFO, right? And then they transferred it out of there, and it involved Robert Bigelow and OSAP and all of this, Lockheed Martin as well, and apparently the CIA put a stop to it. I don't know. And some people say that's not even the right story. So as always, who knows? But as you can hear Eric Burlison state, right, there are other reasons to go here, and I've been thinking about that myself. What does he think's going to happen? They're going to show him a UFO, right? Here's the big secret we've been keeping, Representative. No, but it does help clear up some narratives, and you start to think, that's why they think this, or this is what this is, or that, or you get to meet people. It can't be bad, right? So I'm happy that Representative Eric Burlison is taking these trips, and apparently it's the first of many. And basically, he's trying not to talk too much about it so that he gets to go to more, right? Because if other places start to find out, they may be like, we don't want him coming here. This is just a circus show, right? So he can go talk about UFOs on podcasts and stuff, right? So just very interesting. And they don't stop talking about it. They continue to kind of theorize about this Pax River and the whole point of Eric Burlison going, essentially.
Can I ask you this? So the world has reported that you went to Pax River. You didn't say that, but the world has already reported that. That was their guess. And I know that you're trying to be protective because it sounds like you have a number of other facilities that you've been allowed access to in the near future. And I know that you will tell us what you see or don't see. But if I had to guess, people told you that there was a $10 million facility that was built to hold non-human intelligence craft or parts of those craft, that was a transfer from Lockheed Martin after it failed with OSAP, actually. Something like that. Maybe I've got it wrong. But when you say you sat with somebody, was the tone that UFOs are real and that our government has been working on them, or was the tone that UFOs are not real and we haven't been working on them?
So the tone that I got was that from the knowledge of the people that are working there today, that they had no knowledge or awareness of any UAP, non-human intelligence material or aspects, which, look, there's lots of turnover. It could be historical. We could have, which is why a lot of times what we're hearing is people that have retired from the military or retired from intelligence and are coming forward. But yeah, currently active on that site, the people that I spoke with adamantly denied anything related to non-human intelligence.
Again, I don't think that comes as a surprise to anybody. What did That's just never going to happen, in my opinion, right? They're not just going to reveal this 80 plus year cover up, the greatest cover up in the history of humanity, just boom, right there, because Representative Burlison goes and asks. So I think setting up that expectation is kind of silly. And I'm not saying that's what Representative Eric Burlison is doing. He's doing his due diligence. He has to ask, because you never know what you can get from those questions, right? So, and again, this Lockheed Martin OSAP story that's supposedly behind it. I remember that coming out before when that information came out, because Lou Elizondo has testified about it, which that's not a good sign. You know, people were like, Patrick, that's not the story. That's not the story. It's another UFO. Okay. Yeah. I love when people act like they know exactly what's going on. Right. And all of this, like, it's hilarious. Like, you don't know anything, right? Like, you don't know anything. It's not like Sebastian Maniscalco or whatever that comedian's name is.
It's a scam.
There's leads. Eric Burlison is following up on them. Can't really ask for much more than that, except for, of course, it'd be great if there was some sort of grand revelation at one of these places. But look, he's just starting that particular journey.
Is there any part of your mind that is suspicious of why they let you come see nothing and then told you that they don't have any knowledge of NHI equipment? Is there anything in you that thinks maybe I was told to go there so I could be told that and tell the world, and that's the end of the story? Do you think that they gave you a dog and pony show?
No, I do not. Based on the information that I've been given from David Grush and others that had some insights there. So
you really believe that they don't know?
Yeah, I really believe.
Talked with.
I don't think that they would lie to a member of Congress. And I don't think that they gave me a dog and pony show. What I make up, Jeremy, is that, and what I was able to ascertain is that there is a facility that had a purpose. It serves a great purpose today, and it's a necessary facility. I think it had a broader purpose than the UAP topic, but it would be a perfect location if you were to do reverse engineering of a UAP. It would be the perfect location to do something like that.
All right, so there's a lot of interesting comments there. Let's take this one at a time from the first part of the clip. You know, there's two parts to the transaction, right? Jeremy's asking a good question. Do you think you were just sent there so you come out and say, oh, there's nothing there, right? But there's two, again, you've got the people at the facility that are telling you a story, but you've also got the people telling you to go there, telling you a story. So that dog and pony show can come from both sides. I think that's something to keep in mind, right? Where this information comes from. So they could be telling him the truth about this facility, but they could also not, I guess, right? If we don't really know, right? But again, what evidence did Eric Burlison see that there was something there, rather than just, quote, credible people told him? And that's never really been revealed. Oh, some documents, okay. Eric Burlison saying there at the end, this is a facility. It'd be the perfect place to, reverse engineer UFOs. Well, that's interesting, because the whole story about this place is that it was built to store it, and they were then going to move it somewhere else. So if it's a perfect place to reverse engineer, why would you move it? Right? And the whole story is that it was built to store it, not to reverse engineer it. So it makes me think that Eric Burlison is describing a place with labs and facilities, right? Scientists working there to try to figure things out, right? It's almost like he's describing a facility that is designed to reverse engineer, foreign craft, meaning from other countries or other things we find, because there are crash retrieval programs, right? That exist in the American government, where we retrieve craft from other countries and then we try to figure out what they have and what it is. And I've always theorized that that's gotten real mixed in with the UFO stuff. But regardless, we don't know. All right. Well, probably never going to know. I don't know if that stuff would come out publicly, although Burlison has said he does want to talk about this stuff more once he's finished kind of with all the trips. So maybe we will find out. But I do think that's an interesting part of the story. Wait, it was built to store the craft and then move it somewhere else, but it's the perfect place to reverse engineer. To me, that doesn't make any sense. What, are you going to try to reverse engineer it for a couple of years? 6 months? I don't get it. And this story goes back 20 something years, right? The transfer from Lockheed, the one that Jeremy was talking about, the one I mentioned before that was back in the mid 2000s, right? So what would still be lingering there to this day? I don't know. Again, we're in the dark with no flashlight, just feeling our hands on the walls, trying to figure out what's going on.
President Trump gave you the green light to visit these assorted places you'd like to see that may have something to do with the UFO mystery. He also issued a directive in response to something former President Obama said. And this directive generally said, hey, if you've got UFO files, release them. I'd like to get your take on that. Do you think it needs something stronger than just a directive, such as an executive order? And how does and does it also require declassification of files that you know are going to be withheld?
So that's a great question. I do think it needs to have an executive order. From conversations I've had with others in his administration, it seems like that they're planning for, or that you may see an executive order come out. I think that right now they don't really know exactly what they want that to say, what he wants to have in that executive order at this time. But I will say the statement that he made has really lit a fire in whether it's Department of War or intelligence, the intelligence community. It has lit a fire and really given them the green light that they've been the way the way the conversation went with me is that, when they said that we have had a hard time prioritizing this because it's not been a priority. At the end of the day, we serve at the pleasure of the president. And if it's not a priority of the president, then it's hard to justify using resources on something that's a low priority. But now that the president has given us that green light and just simply, sending that social media tweet or truth, they now feel like they have a green light and they are dedicating resources, more resources than I believe have ever been dedicated before to this topic. And so I'm seeing urgency and a motivation on this.
All right, so it looks like President Trump administration has authorized Burlison to go to some of these places, look into it. Great. I agree. Okay, let's go. And, more than a directive that Trump has given about the UFO files, an executive order needs to be issued, something more a little specific. And again, remember, Arrow is kind of behind bringing that out to the forefront. But what Eric Burlison is saying has changed in the Trump administration is that they are taking this way more seriously. It has lit a fire under people. Like now they have kind of a reason, right? Something to point to go, I'm doing this work because, right? So that's positive, right? Again, I just don't know if we're going to get the truth that people want or all the truth that people want. So I hope people are remaining open-minded to any possible truth that could come out from this, or multiple truths, right? And Eric Burlison does state later in the interview that he spends about 5% of his time working on this topic. 95% of the time he's working on other things, right? So, and to be honest, he does the most of anybody. So 5% from him he's doing a lot. So I think he's doing more than that, but I get it. Other people need to get involved and start doing it, right? Like it can't just be Burchett, Luna, Burlison doing all the work, right? We need these official government entities to start getting involved. But again, then you start to ask yourself, but if they're all part of the cover-up, how are they going to uncover themselves, right? We're asking the government to exploit their own cover-ups, right? And then Patrick said, people say, Patrick, but the government is not one big entity. It's many things. I get that. But all these offices you're saying are involved, we're trying to get them, included in this. And there's a perfect example coming up with Tulsi Gabbard and the, what is it? The ODNI or whatever.
Do you find Matthew Brown credible and honest?
I do. Yeah, I do find him credible and honest, and I think that he's an American patriot. I think that he loves his country. He wants to do the right thing. I think he's morally compelled to be involved in this topic, and so. But I also know him to be someone who protects with fervor national secrets.
Absolutely. You know that he recorded with us this last weekend, and that we are going to release what he believed recorded if what he's saying is accurate and true. So my next question is, do you find ODNI, the soldiers, the agents on the UAP issue right now for Tulsi? Tulsi's separate. Tulsi's a gangster. I trust Tulsi. Do you trust ODNI, the agents on the UAP topic right now that Matthew actually and Dylan Borland and a bunch of people had to meet with? Do you find them to be genuine and honest without names?
I really would, and I apologize, but I really don't want to. I'm going to decline to comment because I don't want to jeopardize any relationships that I have.
All right, so a couple interesting things here. One is apparently Jeremy Corbell and George Knapp have an interview with Matthew Brown. They already recorded, coming out that I guess they're going to throw out some allegations or accusations about crimes, and if true, it's going to shake some things up. I'm looking forward to seeing that. I don't think Matthew Brown has done an interview since the last Weaponized interview, which was a year ago. So, all right, yeah, I'm looking forward to that. I'll definitely cover it here on the channel. Curious to see what he says. And I, again, and then it comes up with the ODNI and Tulsi Gabbard, right? This is what I'm talking about, right? So every, CIA, FBI, NSA, all these different groups, NASA, I mean, whatever, that's what's going to happen. It's like people may say, well, this guy trusted, but all these people, they're being disingenuous, they're being dishonest, So I just think, again, trying to get the entity that you think is covering this up to uncover it for you, I just don't see how this is going to work out. It just seems like it's just going to be a battle of allegations and accusations and he said, she says, and we got evidence, and then people say that the evidence isn't good enough, and we're all just watching. We're all in the peanut gallery over here, just armchairing it, because what are we going to do? What am I physically going to do and get out that right? I don't really want to take the approach that some other content creators take, which nothing against them, it's totally fine. They do their own thing, but the idea, well, I'm going to go out and talk to these whistleblowers behind the scenes and develop relationships and get information and stories and then put it out, right, and have sources and all this stuff. Like, what do you know about vetting sources? Right? What resources do you have to do any of that? Right? And then you'll use other people you've met to vet your sources behind the scenes. Like, you didn't even vet them, right? Like, it's all about people building trust behind the scenes that you never get to hear about or know about, and you don't know how they build trust, right? With all these insiders and all these people behind the scenes. So, again, just welcome to the shit show, But look, again, I'm looking forward to this interview with Matthew Brown and what comes out. Definitely, I respect people who are out here doing the work, right? Like your Jeremy Corbells, your George Knapps, getting out there and doing work that I'm not going to do, clearly. So somebody's got to do it, and they're going to take criticism. And that's just part of the game. Will it ever lead to something? I don't know. I guess something's better than nothing. You don't really know unless you try also, right? To be fair. So it's kind of one of those things where, great, they're not asking you to do anything or me to do anything, right? So let them go do it. And if we get something, we can thank them later for doing it.
I'll just put it on record. I do not trust what's going on with ODNI under the nose of Tulsi. That's a personal opinion, informed one though.
So clearly what it sounds like that's going to be included in this Matthew Brown interview, in my opinion, is, ODNI, and not Tulsi Gabbard, but the people underneath her. But again, you have to remember, it starts with leadership, right? It starts with leadership. It's just how it is, right? If Tulsi Gabbard's trustworthy, but not her soldiers, then Tulsi Gabbard isn't doing a good job, because she's putting in, quote, soldiers that are untrustworthy, right? So you see how that's interesting to me. I mean, you got to blame leadership. It all comes back to leadership. If you've ever been a leader in a field or a job, right, where you've ever been the boss or the leader, it all ends and starts with you, right? I've been a leader and a boss in my field, in the food industry before, right, where I general managed restaurants, high-end restaurants. I had my own food business, 3 locations, catering, all this stuff. The buck stops with me. If something's failing, it's my fault, right? That's how it works. If they fail, it's because I did something or didn't do something, or I need to take care of it. And if I, made aware of it, and then if I don't take care of it, how's that not on me here, right? So I think Jeremy's trying to toe a line, which I can see that Eric Burlison is as well. So I don't know, where are we at? But I think that's what this Matthew Brown interview is going to be about, just based on this interview here. And there's another clip too that gives some clues potentially to what is coming in this Matthew Brown interview.
Should George and I, with whistleblowers, reveal crimes that have been committed relating to the cover-up of UAP, if we know and can prove that there were mortal crimes related to UAP, should George Knapp and I release that? Should
Absolutely.
we tell?
Absolutely. I'm all about transparency, and I think if you've got information, you should be releasing it.
By name?
Yeah, if you have proof that an individual has committed a crime.
Publicly?
Yeah, I mean, you're the press. That's why we need the fourth estate. So,
and I think, again, that's what I think is going to come in this Matthew Brown interview. And it sounds like he's just getting support, right? Jeremy's asking, should I reveal this stuff? Should I come out with it? Eric Bro's like, yeah, if you have evidence, that's a key part, evidence to back up what you're saying, absolutely. Because a lot of people like to throw out names in this community with no evidence, or the shoddiest evidence you've ever heard. They just like, well, I saw a name in a book, in a document I connected to, so therefore they're behind the thing, and then throw out the craziest allegations against somebody. But then at the same time, then complain that whistleblowers are getting harassed and threatened, right, when they also harass and threaten people with no evidence. It's a weird game out here. It's like, what happened to the fun of looking into UFOs and hearing interesting theories and you know what I mean? Like, it's like the fun is gone, right? In a lot of ways. And I got into it with that aspect to it, to be honest with you. I did not sign up for some cloak and dagger, X-Files, James Bond style thing. It was part of the allure that maybe that's a theory, right? But it's like, you don't want to be in the middle of it, right? I love watching sports, but I'm not trying to be on the field. But granted, some people have to be on the field. So kudos to them, and we'll see what comes to this. And again, that's kind of what my theory is of what's coming out with this Matthew Brown interview, based on just the comments from this interview.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's very simple. It's math. Somebody's lying. It's either David Grush, and it's Matthew Brown, and it's Dylan Borland, and it's Eric Davis, and Sal Putoff, and it's Jay Stratton, and it's you name the list, right. Or ODNI is lying. So the question becomes, and not Tulsi, but her soldiers.
Again, it's all of that. I agree with Jeremy there, right? Somebody's lying. Something's happening. And there could be multiple variations of that. All the different people he named, they could be lying about certain things, but not about everything, right? And OD and I as well. Certain things, but not everything. It could be a mix. Both sides could be lying. That's why it's all about evidence. So you don't have to rely on, is this person lying? Is that person lying? The evidence speaks for itself. Where does the evidence lead you? Right? It's pretty simple. That's why evidence would solve all of this. That's why an alien body being presented would solve all of this. Right? But here we are.
You've worked with David Grush, now a whistleblower that became an employee of Congress and yours. You fought for that. Is David Grush worthy of our trust publicly?
I think so. And he's gone through the ringer, and I think that people think that, I will say, there's a narrative out there that they're going to try to say, all of these guys are just trying to grift and make money, and I just can tell you firsthand that is not the case. They've made tremendous sacrifices financially, and it has not been to their benefit.
I think Eric Burlison's response to is David Grush trustworthy was interesting. So basically, Jeremy Corbell asked him, do two different people, right? Matthew Brown, is he trustworthy? And Eric Burlison's response to Matthew Brown was like, yeah, if, he protects national secret. He just really left, it wasn't ambiguous in any way, which is, compared to how he responded to David Grush is interesting, because he's like, yeah, I think so. You think so? And then basically it all falls on that David Grush has been through a lot. What does that mean? That doesn't mean he's trustworthy. I'm not saying David Grush isn't. I'm just saying, okay, he's not in it for the financial gain. Okay, what does that mean? Again, I just found those different responses to be interesting. He just didn't seem as convinced that David Grush wasn't. And David Grush has been working with Eric Burlison this whole time, right, as a staff member. So it could be that he's had more exposure to David Grush than Matthew Brown. But again, like I've always said in this, you tell people enough stories and nothing comes from those stories, you start to lose trust, and you can only rely on, well, I've been threatened, things have happened to me, I'm not in it for financial gain, to really back you up. Right? You're going to get some sympathy, but and all those things are horrible. Nothing should be happening to these guys. David Grush, Matthew Brown, any of these guys, right? Of course, I don't want any, we all don't want anything to happen to them or their families or anything, right? That's all ridiculous. Of course not. It's all about the evidence about these fantastical claims. That's what we're all here for, right? But I just think, again, if you say there's a wolf and people come and there's no wolf, how many times can you do that before people just ignore it, right? So I wonder how long this is going to last. Unless some absolute evidence comes forth, it's going to end in disaster, right? And of course, people will claim a cover-up. People will claim people aren't trustworthy, this or that. There'll be every excuse in the book of why this doesn't end up the way people have claimed, right? That there's this massive cover-up. We're reverse engineering UFOs. We have craft. We have bodies. We have all these things. And it doesn't stop there, right? Like, there are labs we're working with aliens. We got agreements. We got they're just the craziest stories you've ever heard. I don't even know what to think anymore.
If it were Pax River that you went to, that will create drama because of what people are going to learn now. Do you think you will see UFOs in the other facilities that you are scheduled to go see? Yes or no? Do you think you're going to see non-human intelligence craft? Yes or no?
Some of them I won't, and some of them I might.
Well, I mean, one would be amazing. That would just be life-changing, that we're not alone. And that
It would be.
Okay. So,
But
and
that's
you'll
the goal.
tell,
That's the goal, is to find that needle in the haystack.
and you will, there's no needle. I know exactly where you need to go, and so do other people, and they've informed you. So the question is, are you going to be shown it if it exists? And if it does, one is enough. That's all we need. And then we know there's been a cover-up, and everybody else, like David Grush, Matthew Brown, Dylan Borland, Jay Stratton, Hal Puthoff, you name them, they've been telling the truth the whole way along. Lou Elizondo has been telling as much truth as he could all the way around.
Yikes, Lou Elizondo. That's not a good figure. Eric Davis, Hal Puthoff. Some of these people are, Jeremy's so confident, right? He basically, he's convinced of one truth, and that's it. And that's fine. I know a lot of people in this community that think that way. I do not think that way. I am open-minded to the sense that I'm open-minded that we don't have craft. We don't have bodies. That these guys not necessarily have been lying on purpose, but maybe they're just mistaken, right? But I'm also open-minded that we could have this stuff and we could be reverse engineering. There could be a cover-up, right? I'm open-minded to the truth because the truth hasn't been revealed yet. But there are a lot of people, they're not open-minded to that. They're just, it's one thing, right? Like Jeremy said, there is no needle. Burlison's been told where it is. What's it? The only question is if they're going to show it to you. See, I disagree with all that. There is a needle, and not only is there a haystack, but we keep adding to the haystack all the time. And I know people say, yeah, but I talk to people behind the scenes. Okay, that doesn't mean anything. You're not getting classified information. You know what I mean? So you're only being told what people want you to be told, right? If you're doing this. And that's why it's a weird game to play, in my opinion. But I also think at the same time, it's good to have people that think like Jeremy, in the sense that they're bulldogging it. They're going after it. This is, they in their opinion, they smelt something and they're going after it. There's nothing stopping them. At the same time, you need people like that. So I get it, right? It doesn't really matter what people's conclusions are about things. It doesn't matter if it could be this way, it could be that way, or if you're just like, nope, it's this way and that's it. At the end of the day, none of that matters. What we personally think, right, about reality. Reality is reality. Right? The truth is the truth, no matter what we think about it, whether we accept it or not, it's still the truth. So if things get uncovered and truths come out, so it's up to each and every person to decide what to do with it, or to accept it or not to accept it. And you can't really force that down people's throats. That's why I never understand the idea of people judging other people for their opinions on UFOs and aliens. Like if one person's like, I think it's all bullshit, you disinformation agent, they're not a good person. Wait, what? Or if someone's like, I believe it all, and then people are like, you idiot, you're just so gullible, you believe everything. What are we doing here? Again, we've lost a lot of our humanity in our search to expand our humanity, right? That's a quote I use a lot on this show, because I just see that happening in this community. It's amazing. If we find out about UFOs, it's going to expand the truth about, us, and we'll be better people. It'll bring us all together. We can't even come together right now about it. You see people all the time say people like Mick West and other skeptics, they're disingenuous. They're not in for the right. I hate that guy. I thought you said it's all going to bring us all together. Right? Well, if it's going to bring us all together, maybe we should try coming together now. Why do you need to wait for a UFO alien revelation to come together with people? That should show you that that's what's not going to happen. If you need a revelation like that you're prophesizing will happen. If the truth comes out, we'll all come together. Why do you... If you want to come together, come together. You don't need the truth about aliens to come together. That doesn't make any sense. That's disingenuous, right? It's like, let's just come together now. Why don't we? And then if we get aliens, UFOs, great. If we don't, great. Right? That's the real power. But we put the power in the conspiracy. And if that's proven true, then everything will be good. Why don't we just be fine with where we're at and we'll be okay? And if that happens, cherry on top, right? That's always surprised me, right? And vice versa, skeptics who attack believers, right? About that, like, what are you doing? Like, who cares if people think there's aliens and UFOs? Why does it matter to you? Just believe what you want. Everyone believe what they want. Let's all get along, right? That's it. That's all that should really matter at the end of the day. That's how I feel about it.
What do you know, or what do you now believe after your first site visit? Summarize it.
What I came into this topic thinking that it was probably just like complete hogwash, that there was no such thing as non-human or aliens visiting us from another planet. But I was open to the possibilities. Now I know for sure that there's something that's happening. I'm not eliminating the possibility that it could be China, but I am for sure and certain that there is a form of a really advanced physics or an area of physics that we have never seen, a level of technology that we do not have the capabilities of, and it's almost terrifying. The last revelations that I have seen is if whether it's China or it's either way, it's an ontological shock.
Revelations that you have personally seen that the American public has not been allowed to see. Is that correct?
I would say yes. Mm-hmm.
So I think it's very important to remember the caveats that Eric Burlison is giving here, right? It could still be China, y'all. Right? Eric Burlison is not saying it's not. He's saying what they found is extraordinary, but doesn't mean it's alien, right? Now, again, that has, in my opinion, this government search for disclosure has nothing to do with the phenomenon itself. It doesn't necessarily disprove one or prove the other. I think that's important to keep in mind, right? Do you want to put all of your excitement, or we or me or you or whatever, on just advanced technology from us or another country? Right? Is that, you know what I'm saying? Like, and I don't think any of these other people know that it's not that either. You hear people like Eric David, all these people say, it's not China, it's not Russia. You have no idea. You just have no idea. Even Chinese or Russians don't even know. We stovepipe stuff here. You don't think we stovepipe stuff there? You're telling me you don't know all the secrets of the United States, but you know all the secrets of another country? Make that make sense. So anytime someone says, it's definitely not right, it's not Russia, it's not, we know that, they don't know that. They don't know that. No one knows that. And Eric Burlison is keeping the goalposts the same. I appreciate that. I respect that. I'm glad that he throws those caveats in. I think people miss it. Either, on purpose or whatever, right? Nothing to break the illusion or delusion of it. But again, I'm open-minded at the end of the day. I'm truly open-minded. That's what open-minded means. I will accept the truth no matter what it is. Right? You can't say be open-minded to other people about the truth you want. Only, not about any truth. That's the real key to being open-minded. So I think people need to ask themselves, how open-minded are they? But at the end of the day, again, it doesn't really matter. Think what you want, believe what you want. It's your time, it's your energy, it's your life. Put in the resources, time, effort, energy into whatever you want. As long as we're not hurting each other, right? Disrupting the lives of other people. Nobody can tell anybody anything. Do what you want. Think what you want. Come to the conclusions you want. I think at the end of the day, that's the best way to go. So anyway, we got one more clip left. This was an interesting piece that came at the very, very end of the interview from Jeremy Corbell.
We might cut this part out, but I wanted to make sure I said this on record to you so that it is on record that I've said this to a sitting congressperson, which is that I'm not sure that you are aware, but congressional record was fabricated on one of the times that we did a UAP hearing. It was the time that they chose a journalist named Michael Schellenberger. When they used him, there's a whole story, but I wanted you to know and want the public to know because I don't know if you're aware, but you can ask Representative Burchett, Representative Luna, but somebody fabricated congressional record by putting up a blank page about Immaculate Constellation. And people thought it was me upset saying somebody else turned in my homework. It wasn't that. I was trying to warn people that if you trust the wrong journalist, that you are trusting somebody who is not worthy of your trust. And a lot of that was a setup to get people to trust a journalist who is not worthy of their trust, because that guy will sell you out faster than you can blink. So were you aware that somebody within the staff of Nancy Mace fabricated the congressional record, full stop?
So I don't really know much of the details about that. I only heard about that after the fact, probably even a week later. So, and in looking into it, it did not seem, it's not on a priority for me. I was looking at the content of the document, not the front cover letter, if you will. And what I was told is the front cover letter was removed because it seemed to have material that might be done in a way that might be promoting. And so that was the reason that was given to me.
So that was a complete and total lie. And I can prove it to you. And we don't have to put this in the episode, Rep Burlison, but I want you to know that is a complete and total lie. And you and I should display the evidence to you so you can really understand what happened. Because what happened that day was so much bigger than just a page not getting into congressional record.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for your time, sir. Oh, go ahead.
I mean, if it's really important to you, that's fine. I will say I didn't take anything from it, Jeremy. I don't really.
Yeah. No, it is
worried
important.
about what my impressions were. I didn't take anything from that.
No, I'm not worried about your impressions. I just wanted to know if you think it's a legal matter that the congressional record was fabricated, then you need to know why, because the congressional record was fabricated. And you should know why. I don't need to put this in the episode. As a friend, I want you to know because it's actually important.
Okay.
So Burlison's just like, not trying to get involved, Jeremy. And I get why Jeremy's bringing it up. So he's basically accusing that the congressional public record was falsified. So it begs the question, what other stuff is falsified? And what other information has been falsified, right? I think Jeremy needs to understand the implications of that allegation, because if you're saying the congressional record was falsified, well, maybe documents or things you've seen that other people have told you about are also falsified, right? If you're setting up a sandbox that things can be falsified in the government, then maybe the evidence or witness testimony you've got from other people has also been falsified. See, that's the thing. It goes both ways. People love to swing a sword, but they don't realize that it cuts both ways, right? So, maybe that's true what Jeremy is saying. And I know what he's talking about, the Schellenberger documents, the Immaculate Constellation with Matthew Brown, and shots fired at Schellenberger, right? He goes after Schellenberger, which Schellenberger didn't do himself any favors on the Joe Rogan Experience recently when he went on for an interview. It started off fine, but then he just started dying on the weirdest hills, essentially Jeffrey Epstein hills. I was just like, dude, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing right now? It's not that he was defending Jeffrey Epstein, but he wasn't like, they were just weird hills to die on. And it didn't do him any favors, in my opinion. So, I think Schellenberger's got his own things to worry about when it comes to that stuff. People were eating him alive for a lot of the comments that he made. And you could tell Joe was just done with that guy.
I understand, but why are you not letting me finish what I'm saying? Sorry. Because that alone is weird.
Done with him at the end of the interview. Let me know what you think down in the comments. I'm going to put a link down below to the full interview. There's a lot more in that interview we didn't cover. So I recommend going to check it out. It's got a lot of views right now. So clearly people were interested in this interview, and clearly people are interested in this new Matthew Brown interview that's going to be coming out. Myself as well, right? What are they going to say? What's coming out? I mean, clearly it's going to be involve, crimes and OD&I and, cover up UFOs, those type of things, right? But we'll have to wait and see. It sounds like they're going to be like OD&I silencing whistleblowers. They've crossed some lines, they've broken some laws, things like that. That would be my, that's what I think it's going to be about, silencing whistleblowers, essentially. But we'll have to wait and see. So anyway, link down below. Let me know what you think down below in the comments. And don't forget, I got my YouTube play button coming in this week. So in the next couple of days. So we'll do a live stream and open that up so everybody can see it, and we'll celebrate. All right, y'all. See you in the next one. Remember about us. Every day is a gift, y'all. Peace.
Hey, Pat. I just wanted to say thank you so much for doing what you do, man. It's kind of hard to say. It's the first time I've kind of said this, even to myself in a long time. I used to have, I'm going out on a limb here. It could be like 125, I think I documented coincidences. Psionic abilities back in the day. I can't do it anymore, but I just wanted to say thank you. You keep it real. I don't think there's any way better to explain it. You kind of say what we're all thinking, and it's really refreshing to not hear, bull crap. And yeah, man, a lot of people have grown by watching you, and I just want to say thank you so much for just being yourself and keeping yourself and calling people out. I think a lot of people's eyes would not be open, and unless you did that. And a lot of us are seeing patterns now where we're recognizing kind of the false flag. So thank you so much, man. And rocking that bedded sweatshirt. And you recognize me in the comments. I go by Decker. Thank you so much, Pat, again.